Hey guys, my name's Collingwood, and I want to talk about something here that I hope I can actually not only speak what I'm going to speak, but also prove a point with it. As a coach, the problem is that anybody who turns up to actually play a sport, they've already encouraged themselves to walk out that door and go and ask someone to basically take them serious in a journey. Also, to help them mentally. Yeah, it's an ability that I think as coaches, that when a person comes to us, that they could be suffering so many different influences of life that we forget that mental health is a key thing to anything that is done, if that makes sense. What I'm trying to get at is that when that person turns up to your club or your sport and asks to actually play, some people turn people away with a bit of a bad ignorance, let's put it that way, because you don't realise that you've just started that mental capacity of anxiety, which then leads to depression. The problem is that where I come from, I didn't have a choice, and I had to work hard to actually, try my best to become a rugby player. But because my brother committed suicide, then I hope you understand that mental health went down very low, and a lot of things, played devil's advocate with my mental health, the same as anybody would, especially if they're disabled, turn disabled, or injured, or it's a long rehabilitation on anything, whether it's mental or physical capacity. Now, we get to this point that when a person turns up at your gym or club, then don't you think that in order to actually have great success, this is where that we need to be vigilant, that we do not put that person's nose out of joint at any demand. After all, we do say this, and it has been proven that many a person that's been turned away has come back and proved that point, that they can be a great player in any sport that they play. That's because it's very hard to get anywhere, as we know. And the unfortunate thing is that how do we actually encourage people when we know that people are charging such high prices to actually do anything, to enjoy something or be a part of a team and achieve something, which is to play football, rugby, or tennis or boxing? It's a long haul. So with that in mind, I hope you understand that we're also looking at disabled access as well, which, I mean, come on, if we're to actually have a person who turns up in a wheelchair, then most people are left on the sideline because some of the training has not been compatible. And that's a problem. Again, we talk about mental health, we talk about those means that actually people should be, not only reading what they're qualified under to do, but it goes above and beyond that. Because at the end of the day, being a coach, then we have to be something that has compassion. But also the hardest thing that, and you coaches can actually agree on, is actually having that person that you're training understanding what they have to do. Some things can be very complicated. So the mental capacity comes in, and at first basis, it builds up that emotion to then lead to that which is depression. Anxiety, again, comes in. But how do you make other people look at themselves as well as see their weaknesses? Now, this is where that I can actually teach you how we got to everything else, because it's in layman's terms, and it's about proving a point. But it's also showing you guys that there is a free access, and it means that I can actually show you that you can do more with your ability, that helps you to know that there is choices out there for you. So, this is a blindfold. And I'm going to go through things here, guys, and I hope you can understand that I have a duty, especially with what I've done to create things. But we need to be more aware of people. That's the problem. Because that first base is, like I say, anxiety leads to depression. Now, I want you to understand that whatever I show you here can also be transferred into a wheelchair perspective as well. So you can train both wheelchair users and that which is an able-bodied person together. And that means that basically friends and other people can all train together, being very inclusive. So without ado, there it goes. So guys, you can see some form of mat that I'm stepping on. And the problem is that there is a basic to anything that we do in order to introduce flair. But how can we encourage people, and how can we actually communicate for them to also understand what their weaknesses are? Well, there's 2 points to this. Step one is basically basic movement in everything that we do shows that this basic movement that I'm doing now, and especially in a wheelchair, can actually now implement that I actually do a form of boxing as correct as I can do. The same as that when you want to compete with your mental capacity, it's about changing your motion to adapt around that which is a basic. The problem is, as you see, I've gone from boxing to tennis. Now I've gone to basketball. It's basically basic geometry. That's all it is, guys. It's simple, because the problem is that one full motion is a simplicity to help out to show that a person can box, can tennis, can play football, can basketball, rugby. The problem is that if we could actually encourage these guys to show those basic motions, then don't you think it's about time? And what we're doing is bringing sports together. That's the time, because the problem is then we have a great pathway for these kids to encourage themselves and not only know that they can do one sport, but isn't it about time to know that you can do more? This is the Inteus project. This is something which actually states Inteus, which means no shame. And I think we should actually teach that as a value, because the problem is we've got to be humble in what we do, especially in teaching that if you want to reach to become a professional. But it's basically that how do you give a free access from school and grassroots level? Well, now we can encourage you and we can train you to actually prepare accordingly. And when I mean accordingly, it means now that I can see your weaknesses. And I challenge you coaches to come and test this out, because I've proved this point, especially with 2 times world champion Gary Murray, as well as that which is Paul Taylor, MMA champion and from Birmingham. So I say this to you guys, the reason why is because now with a special braille mat, you can now actually work on your mental health ability, which actually improves you, makes you see you, but it also gives a coach a greater ability to see the weaknesses that are applied. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about certain people that with one leg or, no legs, etc., then we have to show them both in the wheelchair as well as stand up that with those basic movements, then those persons can rehabilitate themselves. But with better choices, the door's open. So in order to have the mental capacity come in, this is where now with that brow, and this is patent protected, guys, and it's been done so that we could bring a free service. So as you see, I'm going fully blind on this, but the problem is with the same capacity I can move in and still do the same, but now I'm looking at myself for the first time because I'm now concentrating to make sure that I'm doing the motion properly. The problem is that now I'm aligning myself with the help from the coach. Then basically he can see all the weaknesses that I'm doing to correct them, but also now mentally I'm able to see my own weaknesses and rectify. So when we're here, I can then follow there, come there. That's how easy it is to actually control yourself and understand yourself. But I hope you understand that by leading by examples, I've had to prove a point. And in order to grow 3 governing bodies, guys, this mat helped me to understand that it was your ability that spoke louder, but it was also your mental capacity that both working together, your flair comes. So guys, if anyone says that life is not easy, well, life isn't impossible. Not to live, not to go anywhere. But don't you think it's about time that with this recognition that it's just simple basics that's helped out to now show that we can do more. And by bringing all the sports together, I hope you understand that was the challenge. It was basically giving people an opportunity, especially that couldn't afford it. But mentally, can you imagine what you can do now by having this free service? Because mental health, you can help people to also train together on this mat, which is 7 people, and feel included for the first time in their life, but also never be scared of their ability, because hey, we're here to work with you, help you to improve, not put you down. So guys, nothing is easy, nothing is impossible, but boy, I challenge you guys now to tell me that this ain't the correct way to do so. Welcome to the Inteus project. No shame at all, but let's help and encourage that shame to go and be a brighter place. Much respect. Look forward to hearing your views.